Welcome to the Draft Brewery. Here we are with a deck tech for the extended Pauper League through Magic Gathering Strat. The first round I'm going to be playing here is with white-black auras. And it's basically a mono white deck splashing black for some value. And I did a lot of testing with Roberto Remedio and had a nice little, ability to predict what my opponent would play round one, since I'm pretty certain all I've ever seen him play is mono red. I basically just tested against mono red decks until I figured out some deck that I built out of the number of decks that I built that could actually beat mono red. And mono red was really good, and this is the only deck that I think played that one at all. And it's basically built around Helion's Pilgrim. Helion's Pilgrim was incredibly busted when Ethereal Armor were paired together with it. And a card that Helion's Pilgrim was never paired together with before was Deadweight. And so Deadweight is just a cheaper debilitating injury, really good at killing aggressive creatures and just, tutoring up with this guy. So you basically just get 8 copies of whatever card you need in terms of Deadweight or Ethereal Armor. Ethereal Armor works great with heroic creatures. So a couple of Lagana Band Trailblazers, 3 Crone Sky Guards, quite good there. Also quite good on Hopeful Eidolon and Sungrace Pegasus to build up lifelink, and just auras in general. The Deadweight, the Fonts of the Return, the Eternal Thirst, the Nyxblood Shieldmate all contribute to making whatever creature that has Ethereal Armor on it just to be super beefy. Pacifism, just good all-purpose removal. That pumps the armor as well. Daring Skyjack, sometimes a little easy to kill, but I found you don't want like 8 creatures with heroic in play because you can only target so many of them, and this isn't necessarily a heroic deck. We're not playing Defiant Strike and God's Willing and all those cards, right? So we want some creatures that are just powerful on their own, and he's basically a 3/1 flyer for 2 mana in a lot of scenarios. So I like him. Sungrace Pegasus is pretty awesome as well. Seems small, seems like it's not going to make a big impact in the game, but it does gain a lot of life, and it is a good target for a lot of our like Nyxborn Shieldmates and Ethereal Armors. And there's a One of Keening Apparition in a deck that can go really late with Font of Return Auramancer to basically get back 3 creatures that traded or got killed, play Auramancer, get back Font, have the Auramancer die, Font back the Auramancer, just kind of go off. Keening Apparition is nice to just have like an instant speed way to deal with enchantments. Pretty good out of hexproof decks and out of like Curses, Bloody Tome, and Pierced Heart. Just a bunch of random things. Other removal like Pacifism, stuff like that. So yeah, the point of this deck is be pretty aggressive, but we can kill cheap creatures cheaply, and we can make some incredibly large lifelink creatures. We have a lot of low curve, so we only require 18 lands. We're all plains except for 8 dual lands for black. We shouldn't need more than 1 black per game. So that's pretty key there. Oh, I did add 1 Eternal Thirst in at the last second, even though we don't have a lot of removal. We do want to be able to tutor up with Helion's Program, a way to gain lifelink. Is a pretty good way since we can't tutor up, Hopeful Eidolon. But let's say we already have like a big Crone Sky Guard, but we just need to help race. The Thirst can really help with that. And 5 mana is a lot for this deck to have in play, but it's possible. So yeah, so now looking at the sideboard here, So some cards that I think are pretty important are the full playset of Keening Apparition against a lot of auras, the full playset of Celestial Flare, which I think is a little better than Devour Flesh, against hexproof creatures or just things like Gurmag Angler, just big creatures. Since we are a weight-based deck, the cards like Murder and Victim of Night are not cards I want to play. And I don't want that many Devour Flesh either with all of our comes into play tap black sources, but being able to interact with hexproof creatures is very important. Second, Font against decks that are either trying to mill us or kill all of our creatures and just lets us go late. Shrivel against could be mono red if they have like Fighter Suit Denizen or just a token type strategy. Pretty good against hexproof as well, since sometimes they'll have a few stray creatures like Elvish Mystic or Hopeful Eidolon after you Celestial Flare their guy, and you want to sweep all that up so that the Devour Flushes and Flares are a little bit more effective. And then Beckon Apparition instead of Cremate, mainly because we want to pay white instead, but because the 1/1 flyer is probably better than drawing a card. A lot of the time, since 1/1 flyer can be enchanted with Arbistows, it helps create a third flying creature for Daring Skyjack to attack. So it often is just I think better to use Beckon Apparition than an aggro deck and Cremate in a control deck. So yeah, so this is the deck for round one. Pretty confident that we were playing against mono red round one, but after playtesting this deck a lot, I think it is pretty powerful against not only aggro decks but against control decks too, because of the Auramancer font presence. Okay, so that's the deck, and stay tuned for round one.